How you doing? It's Mark Gunn, and we are observing Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We've been talking about those that we've lost and those that have survived and those that are thriving. And with us this afternoon is one hell of a survivor. And basically, she's got a new book out called Make It a Double from Louisville, Kentucky via Washington, D.C., Ginger Detherage. Ginger, how you doing?
I'm great, Mark. How are you doing?
I am absolutely fabulous. So how does a Louisville girl end up in Washington, D.C.?
Oh, wow. Gosh. So, after I was married to one of Louisville's basketball players. We went to Ballard High School together, John White. Had two wonderful kids and, went through a divorce, Mark. And then I said, you know what? It's time to make a move. It's time to blossom a bit. Right. So went to Atlanta, stayed there for about a little over 15 years. The kids finished school, then went off to college, and I met one of the most amazing men ever who happened to be a native of Louisville, but was living in Washington, D.C. We connected via Facebook. Can you imagine that? And it's been just a wonderful experience ever since. And we just celebrated our 10th year anniversary, October the 15th. Oh, so love is in the air.
Congratulations. Goodness gracious. All right. So, and what you've been doing in D.C. could be another episode in and of itself. And given the current state of affairs, I'm not even going to get into that because I want this to be a life-affirming experience. I want this to be a positive experience because, like I said, you've got a heck of a story to tell. And with the name of the book, Make It a Double, we have a little bit of a backstory to tell that starts at age 14, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's correct. When I was 14, I experienced something that, unfortunately, a lot of young men and women have experienced, and it was sexual assault. And it was a person that, for the sake of just protecting a lot of people that were involved. It was a person that was trusted, infiltrated our family, and found himself a bit obsessed and would come into my room at night. And his biggest focus were my breast. He was obsessed. The unwanted fondling, the kisses, the threatening, I will tell. And at 14 years old, and during that time, I was a freshman at Ballard High School. It was 1979. And you just don't speak of things like that. Right. Because in our family, that was, my mother tried her very best to protect me, my two sisters, and my brother. And I think that was something, Mark, that, we'll touch on as we go along, was something that came out in the book and in my cancer journey that I just didn't realize how much it had affected me because I just put it away. I shut it, I pushed it in a closet, and I put all sorts of locks on it and never wanted to speak of it or deal with it again. And
in a lot of cases, when it comes to sexual assault, if there's not therapy or if there's no measurable way of coping with it, you could end up with issues of body dysmorphia and other mental health challenges. And especially at 14 years of age, you're really starting to get into that stage to where you're developing fully. And as you dealt with that particular trauma, growing up from the incidents and everything, did any of that come into play as you got older?
Well, it actually came into play as I was growing up, as I was becoming, as you said, at 14, you're developing, you're starting to grow into your own. Boys are starting to notice you. And I was very much ahead of the development process. Right. I was a freshman in high school with the C. I was a C cup. Oh, okay. So I was very much developed and an athlete. right? So I had very nice legs and I had very, large boobs.
Right, right.
And, the more attention I got from the boys, the more inferior I became because I bypassed the counseling. I decided that I could handle this on my own. Raised Catholic, I prayed a lot. I went to confession a lot because I wasn't sure that I was not the cause of the assault.
Right, right. And that's something that also plagues a lot of victims, that they do a lot of self-blaming, or, what could I have done to keep this from happening, in the whole 9 yards. And that's something else that you have to live with unless you deal with it. All right. So you're developed at an early age, and, as girl dads, we know there's a special kind of drama that we go through in trying to protect our daughters. So you're getting older, you're stepping into adulthood, first job, first career, the whole 9 yards. Life is humming along, and all of us. Well, I wouldn't say all of a sudden, but at what point did you find out that you did have breast cancer?
Yeah. So I was, it was 2022 when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And at that time I had, it was during COVID.
Right.
And I had, unfortunately lost my brother, who was in his 40s. And we were living in Atlanta at the time. I kind of went back there just for a moment, just because of my brother passing.
Right.
And then, unfortunately, we had another person that knew the city of Louisville, Kip Stone.
Yes.
He was a Louisville basketball player. And Kip and my brother died a year apart. And it was just something that was one of the most unbearable tragedies for me. Kip was like my blood brother, and my own brother passing away, I couldn't take it. And I literally fell into a bit of a depression, and COVID was going on. So I had to go get my COVID shot, right?
Right.
And it was about 3 days later, I called my very good friend, Charlotte Robinson. You know Dr. Robinson.
Yes.
He was over the Lincoln Foundation. And I said, there's something going on under my left arm. My friend Charlotte, she is in the medical field, and she says, okay. She said, I'm sure it's nothing, what friends say. I'm sure it's nothing, get it checked out. And, I said to myself, okay, I haven't had a mammogram in about 3 years. So I already knew I was nervous. It's kind of one of those things is like, all right, it's finally caught up with me. But the funny thing about it is, Mark, I didn't have any doing my, my breast exams that I would give myself in the showers. That's the thing that we do.
Right.
I didn't feel anything. I didn't see anything except for under my left arm. So long story short, I go to my gynecologist, and she says, I don't like the look of this. She says, so since you have not had a mammogram in a few years, you're going today. So I went, they did the mammogram, and they saw something not in my left breast, but in my right breast. And so what I thought was, something to be concerned about in my left arm was something they called COVID arm. And they didn't know, they're like, this is what we're seeing. Patients are coming in after they've gotten their COVID shot, and they're seeing some, inflammation under their arm. In their armpit area. So they said, it's not in your left breast, it's your right, and we need to do something quickly. And I said, okay, let's do it, right? And from that point on, it was a whole series of mammograms, breast biopsies, until I got the call in 2022, and it was probably 3 months after I started, or maybe 2 months after, it was caught in the mammogram that, we see something. And I got the call, and they said, it is cancer. And I'm telling you, my world stopped.
So once again, we are talking with Ginger Detherage, who is the author of the book Make It a Double during October Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And all right, so you got the call. It is cancer. What were you thinking at the time?
I thought that I was going to die. I thought that, okay, this is it. I've lived a good life. I've got 2 kids. I've got a wonderful husband and now a granddaughter. Now what do I do? And so my breast cancer specialist, she says, what the type of cancer you have is called ductal carcinoma in situ, DCIS. And I had never heard of it. And she says, it's a very rare cancer. You can't feel it. You can't see it. You can't touch it.
Wow.
Right. And she says, that is why it's so incredibly important for women to get their mammograms. That's the only way that it's detectable for me and for most. So when she told me that I had it, I said, okay, what do I need to do? Because I want to do it quickly. And she says, well, what we'll do is we'll do a breast biopsy, and then, we'll put you through radiation, daily radiation for like the next 6 weeks or so. And I said, I just don't know if I want to go through all of that. And I said, what are the chances of this cancer spreading? She says, well, it's a small percentage. I said, well, you know what? Why don't we just take the breast?
And that's what led to the title of the book, Make It a Double, because there are some women who will, just out of a sense of being cautious, will do either a mastectomy or, in your case, a double mastectomy. So, and
I'll tell you, Mark, it's not the doctors. They don't like when we are aggressive like that. They don't like it.
Yeah, it's like they would rather keep you on the treatment. And that's one of the big things that a lot of people have to say about Big Pharma. Control the disease, but don't quite give you the cure. Because there are billions of dollars in cancer treatment, cancer research, and you would think with the survival rates being what they are these days, that somewhere, and this is probably me just being a conspiracy theorist, there's been a cure for a long, long time. But Big Pharma sees that, you know what, we can make more money just controlling the disease than we can in curing it. So talk to me about the decision to have the double mastectomy and the conversations that you had to have with your loved ones and the whole 9 yards. How did that all go?
So when I hung up the phone with my specialist, my cancer specialist, my husband had literally walked in the door maybe 10 minutes later, and I was still standing in the same position I was when I hung up the phone. And I turned around and I just walked up to him and I just hugged him and I said, it's cancer. And he was like, you know what? He said, it's okay. We're going to get through this. Whatever we have to do, we will get through this. And I told him, I said, I just don't want the breast anymore. And all of a sudden, Mark, that 14-year-old girl, that a frightened girl, embarrassed girl, all of those feelings just came right back. And I started saying to myself, I've hated them from the moment I had them. I hated them. I want to get rid of them. They have really caused me nothing but pain. And my husband said, you know what, Ginger, this is your body. This is your decision. I am here to support you. I am not here to tell you what to do. And, I already knew that he was such a wonderful person. Right. And that just really kind of, reemphasized that. And here's the thing, when I called my doctor and I said, listen, I just want to have this over with. And she says, well, I understand you're being emotional right now. I think that we need to schedule a call. Get this. We need to schedule a call with your husband and see how he really feels. And that's when I said, I just stick me with the fork. And she was taking my voice away from me.
But to her point, and this is something that I've seen a big stigma that women that have the process done, whether it be a single mastectomy or a double mastectomy, go through, and they begin to question their womanhood. And it doesn't help because you've got people that are around you that also do the same thing. And from what it sounds like, because of your past trauma, that wasn't so much of an issue for you.
It absolutely was not, because one thing that I was so fortunate to have a grandmother, her name was Hannah, and one thing my grandmother taught me as a young girl is, Ginger, pretty is as pretty does. What makes you or one beautiful is how you are on the inside. You are not defined if you happen to be attractive on the outside, if people happen to think, oh, she's just a beautiful girl, blah, 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 she has long hair,
Right.
all of these things. She says, none of those things matter. It's just a bonus. And those things can be taken away from you just like that. So I was raised to believe that if you are a good person and you're kind to other people, you know, God's going to see that. And that's what's going to make you beautiful, being a good person on the inside. And so you're right, Mark, I did not care about any of the exterior and definitely not the breast. And I was old enough to wear and had the support of my children, because I told them, and they were like, Mom, you have to do what you feel is right for you. So I had that support. And the unfortunate thing is I didn't have the support of my medical team. I had to convince them that this is why, you know, I don't want this cancer to spread, because there was a small percentage. She told me, she said, you know, I said, well, let's make it a double. And I actually laughed about it. And she didn't think that was funny. And she said, so you literally want to have a double mastectomy? She says, I tell you, that's extreme. I said, well, women are having it and they have not even been diagnosed with the cancer.
Right.
It's precautionary. Look at Angelina Jolie.
Exactly.
You know?
So
I said, this is my decision, and I want to, that's what I want to do. And that's what we did, Mark. But I tell you, it was quite a ride.
I can imagine. Once again, we're talking with Ginger Detherage, who is the author of the book Make It a Double, her journey through her double mastectomy. And we're doing this in observance of Cancer Awareness Month. Now, you have the procedure. You're in recovery. And you're out of the anesthetic fog and the whole 9 yards, and you're laying there, you're bandaged. Can you remember what your first thoughts were, or what you were thinking about post-surgery?
Yeah. So after I decided to have the double mastectomy, I had a surgeon that talked me into, we have to do implants. We have to do the breast implants. And so once I woke up from the breast being removed and waking up, realizing that I have 2 foreign objects in my body, I woke up and I felt like crap. I felt like I was mad at myself, because I said, you know what? I feel these 2 things in my chest, in my body, and it felt like 2 blocks of concrete for me. That's how it felt.
Okay.
And I felt like I'd let myself down, Mark, because I should have just went with them removing the breast and not allowing these surgeons and specialists to talk me into what my path and what my life was going to look like. So when I woke up from the implants, I felt less than whole.
Which is ironic if you think about it, because you had just had your breasts removed, and the addition of this foreign object, or, you know, exchanging one trauma for another, made you feel less than whole. I can kind of see that.
Yeah, it was very odd. And so fast forward just it was probably 4 months into having these implants, and the implants got infected. They got infected. And that was really, and I know we put God into everything, right? And I want to say that was God's way of saying, you know what? You always should stick to what you feel is the right path for you, and you shouldn't let people talk you into that. So once the implants got infected, I had to have those removed. And I said, and I'm done. I'm done. I had 5 surgeries. Wow. And I'll go to your question, how did it feel when they removed those bandages after everything was removed? I thought, and my mother was in the bathroom with me, I thought I was going to be upset. I thought I was going to think, oh my God, what did I do to myself? But Mark, when we pulled the bandages off and I saw what I saw, I smiled and I was thankful. And I was the happiest that I've ever been in my entire life.
So you're post-surgery, you're happy with what you see in the mirror. Mm-hmm. And just to get a little bit more on the lighthearted side of this, clothes. Did you have to do an entire wardrobe overhaul?
Oh my God. I did a wardrobe overhaul, not just because of the breast, but by that time I had gained, after I had gained some weight.
Oh, okay.
And I had also become, not only was I a cancer patient, I was now type 2 diabetic.
Oh, wow.
So I'm telling my daughter, she sends me these messages all the time. And I'm going to get to it quickly about the clothes. Mm-hmm. My new best friend became Ozempic.
Okay, right.
Ozempic. And I'm telling you, I went from a size 14. Mm-hmm. I am now a size 2.
Oh, wow.
Size 4. I have no breast, but I still work out. I do cycling. And I'm telling you, the wardrobe change was amazing, but not just because of the extra weight loss. Mm-hmm. But Mark, I didn't have to worry about a bra. I didn't have to worry about, dresses that I had to worry about the straps showing and all of those things. And that little black dress, there's a chapter that I wrote about in the book, the little black dress. I'm telling you, I could literally go to my closet. I could go to my, workout drawer and pull out anything, and I felt like a woman. I felt amazing and beautiful.
So let's talk about the book, Make It a Double. What was the impetus for writing it?
Well, I wanted to, number one, write about my cancer journey because I thought that other women might benefit from, what I went through. Maybe they could learn from that or take something away from it. And while I was writing this book about the cancer, it became so much more. It became how this journey really allowed me to love myself for the first time. Love myself, like myself, and to not allow myself to be, as a little girl, I went through Catholic school from the 1st grade to the 8th grade. Right. As a biracial young lady, little girl, I was picked on. I was, I wasn't white enough. I wasn't black enough. I didn't know where I really fit in. My mother's black. My dad is white. And it was a very difficult time for me. So I was bullied a lot. I never had a voice. And I just wasn't ever taken seriously. And during this process of writing the book, all of a sudden, the more I wrote, the stronger I got. And the more as I was writing these words, typing these words on my laptop, I started to think, wow, you really are okay. Right. You are pretty darn cool. What you've gone through and the decisions, going against the grain, going against people saying, well, why did you want to have your breasts removed? I mean, aren't you worried that your husband's going to leave you, that you're going to be less than a woman? And I would tell them, I am more of a woman now than I ever have been in my entire life. And I'm just so incredibly proud.
So once again, we are talking with Ginger Detherage, who is a Louisville product, who is now living and living her best life in Washington, D.C. The book is called Make It a Double, and it's the story of her cancer journey. And I'm getting an overall vibe of every bit of trauma that you've gone through started to just go, vanish, be gone, poof, pow, be gone. Even after the surgery, I think writing the book was your way of finally cleansing all of that.
It certainly was, because again, there was so much trauma, so many things, Mark, that, and I think we're all guilty of this. If something terrible happens to us, number one, we keep it a secret. Right. We don't want to share it, right? And then we tuck it away because we're embarrassed if other people find out. And I was tired of doing that. I was tired of being quiet. I was tired of living a life that was too many secrets, you know. And when I did share the assault, I'll be honest with you, there are family members that didn't take kindly to that.
Right.
You know, that there are certain things you just keep to yourself. There's a title in the book, there's a chapter called Shush, It's a Secret. And I've gotten a lot of phone calls from people saying, you know, maybe you shouldn't have said that. You have to think about the other people that you hurt. And then I said, you know what? The other people that were hurt, they didn't go through it.
Right.
I went through it. I was the person. So I'm not going to apologize for something that I went through. I'm sorry that they are hurt, but, you know, now this is my time to release. And that's exactly what I had to do, Mark. And also kind of speak to, you know, nowadays you see these women, these young, beautiful women, these BBLs, these the facelifts, the extra boob jobs, all of these things that they're doing to their bodies that, you know, as they age, I'm not quite sure how they're going to feel about it, how they're going to look. And I said, you know, I'm not going to be one of those.
Right.
And I wish that we as a whole, women as a whole, would really understand and stop thinking that if the guys don't think it looks, you know, if a man doesn't think that you are sexy, then, oh, what do I have to do to make myself sexy to him?
And, you know, and the thing is, and maybe it's just the circle of men that I hang out with, or just an evolved mindset with men in general, is that we don't want all that crap. I see some women online who will post with absolutely no makeup on, looking 3 shades of bummy or whatever, and they're in their car and they're talking about, you know, I didn't put any makeup on, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, but why did this guy hit on me in the Walmart? And the thing that we're trying to tell you ladies is that, you know, the eyelashes, the boob jobs, the BBLs, later for all that. We want you in your natural state. That is when you are the most beautiful. We don't care about all that. And
we don't give women, I mean, men, we don't give you guys enough credit. And I happen to be so fortunate to have one of those that says, I'll love you if you pick up extra weight. I'll still love you if you don't need those lashes. You don't need all of those things. And I think that if women really kind of take a step back, they feel better when they don't have all of that stuff.
Right. It's like and I can't relate to this personally, but just with the women in my lives, it's that sigh of relief that you get when you get home and the first thing that comes off is the bra.
Yes. Or the Spanx, the bra and the Spanx. Right. Because I haven't been there saying, oh my God, I didn't get to eat all the food I wanted to eat at dinner, or I, you know, couldn't breathe. And I'm like, seriously, why do we put ourselves through that? And that is like a really big point that I'm trying to get across in the book. You know, when I said make it a double, and you know, Mark, it was a tough time. It was a tough time navigating to this new body of mine and to this new mindset of mine. And yeah, did I have maybe a couple of glasses of wine too many, or just trying to, I was nervous and I was unsure of what it was going to look like. But you know, you have to go and walk through it through faith, and you have to make sure, Mark, like you said, in your circle, we have to make sure that we have the right group of people in our circle that are going to be supportive of us, or they're going to understand what we're going through and not judge me because I, you know, no longer have, you know, a C cup or a D cup. Who wants that? You know, I was walking on the treadmill the other day and I'm like, oh my God, I feel so much better. I don't have to have 2 sports bras on. You know, it's just that life is so much better. I'll be 60 years old in November, And I can't say this enough, that I am the happiest that I've ever been in my life. I'm retired from the federal government.
Yes, yes, yes.
And now my second career is I'm going to be selling luxury real estate in DC.
Nice.
And Mark, it's just wonderful. And I really just want people to get the book, read the book, and feel good about themselves, because that's the biggest part, the reason why I wanted to write this. I wanted people to start feeling good about themselves.
And speaking of which, because you're living your life out loud, and if people have gone to any of your social media pages, I know there was a photo shoot that you did that was topless, that
Yes.
made a lot of noise online. And tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so I talked to my husband. I said, listen, this is what I want to do. And he says, do it. Just do it. And my daughter and I, and my son, I think my son was probably like, oh, Mommy, you're really going to do that? And I'm like, I'm really going to do it. So my daughter and I, we went down into the garage. We had some lighting. And she says, okay, let's do it. And as she was taking these pictures, she said, how are you feeling? And every click of that camera was, oh, Mommy, you look beautiful. You look great. This is awesome. And I didn't tell my husband that I was going to post them on Facebook or Instagram.
Right.
But he knew that they were going to be in the book. And I posted, and then I sat down and I poured a glass of wine and I sat for about an hour. And then I went back to Facebook and I was like, this is great. People were loving it. I said, let's go. I was so proud of people accepting this. It was amazing, Mark. It was amazing.
That is wonderful. So once again, the name of the book is Make It a Double. And when we were setting up for this conversation, I laughed out loud when I saw the title of the book. Because, I'm kind of smart. And I'm thinking, you know what? If she can come up with a title that humorous, then I kind of got a feel for your mindset throughout the whole journey. What would you tell someone who is newly diagnosed with cancer, with breast cancer?
Yeah. Don't be afraid to share it with your loved ones and in your circle. If you have really good, solid friends, don't be afraid to share it. Reach out to others who have gone through that experience, and be an advocate for yourself when it comes to your medical process. Let the doctors know really what you would like to see happen. Don't let them tell you what's going to happen. I will say this, please seek out medical attention.
Yes. Because
there are people that like, oh, I'm afraid, I don't want to do this, I'm just going to see what happens, right? And unfortunately, what typically happens, and I'm just going to shoot you straight, you will die if you do not get the medical attention that is available. Technology has come such a long way. You can't just ignore it like a bill. You get a bill, right? You're like, oh, okay, that's going to go away, right?
Right, right.
If I don't look at it, next month it's going to go away. Cancer is the same way. It's not going to go away unless you take action. And that's what I would love for people to do. And women, please get your monthly mammogram, your annual mammogram.
Right.
You have got to. Because if you don't, the mammogram saved my life.
And it's like I've been saying on the air all month. Yeah, I know. It's annoying. Nobody likes being put in a vice. However, it's that few minutes of being put in a vice and Ginger is living proof that can save your life. So, and from going from being diagnosed, because again, you have such an incredibly healthy mindset in all of this. Is there one or maybe two things that you could point to that specifically contribute to that mindset? My grandmother,
who was a woman that She was a domestic worker, and she had arthritis in both of her knees. And I'm telling you, she got up every day and she did what she was supposed to do with a smile on her face. And she says, Ginger, your life is going to be what you make it. You are in charge of your life. And Mark, always surrounding myself with positive people. You know, I make it a goal. I really work hard to make sure that my circle of people are super positive. I wake up every morning. We're a family that we go to the gym. That's our release. You know, we try to eat healthy, and we tell each other that we love each other.
Yes. Every
second of the day. I mean, my kids, hey, I love you. I'll see you soon. My husband, I love you. My friends, I love you. I've just been so incredibly fortunate to not focus. My thing is glass half full,
right,
not half empty. Because if you walk through this life gloom and doom, that's exactly what your life is going to be.
All right. So once again, the name of the book is Make It a Double, Ginger Etheridge. How can people get a hold of it?
Okay, Make It a Double is available on barnesandnoble.com and amazon.com. And it is just the best read ever, Mark, the best read. And I just, really hope that people go out, guys included, right? Guys can support, they can give this book to their moms, to their sisters. They can read the book. Because one thing that they may take away from this is how important it is to be a support system.
Yes.
Because we depend on you. We depend on our strong men. And this book will really give an insight of how strong my husband was, how strong my son was, and how strong the women in my life were also. So Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
And speaking of which, just as an aside, you talk about men being a strong support system. Men, yes, even though the rates are less than 1%, breast cancer is something that can affect us too. So make sure you get checked. Now, how can folks get a hold of you on social media?
Okay, well, let's see. I'm at Ginger Living Wellish on Instagram.
I like that.
And we say, my daughter did that. I say living wellish because I don't deny myself of the chocolates,
right,
and I don't deny myself of a great dinner, but I do know that if I eat too much chocolate, I'm going to have to be in the gym, or my blood sugar may be a little, so I'm doing the very best I can. I'm not perfect. And I'm on Ginger Detherage Facebook. So, that's how. And my daughter runs my Instagram. So I'm still trying to figure that whole thing out.
Hey, look, you beat cancer, and Instagram is that's a cakewalk.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness. Ginger, thank you so much for spending this time with us today. This has been absolutely incredible. And
Thank
again,
you,
the name of the book, Make It a Double. Make sure you get it. Will there be an audiobook version coming?
Yes, we are working on an audiobook and an ebook. So within the next, I'm thinking 30, 60 days, because it will no longer be Breast Cancer Month, I am still going to be promoting, because cancer does not just happen in October.
Right.
All right. So this is something I'm going to be promoting. And yes, you will be the first to know, Mark, when the audio comes out, because thank you so much for this opportunity and this platform. We love you for this.
Perfect.
Yes.
Great job. You nailed this. You nailed it,
Mark.
You nailed it.
You're awesome.
Thank you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all this together, and what I'm going to do with the audio portion of this is, since next week is the last week of Cancer Awareness Month, I'm going to feature this entire conversation in the first hour of my show. So we're gonna actually stop the music in the 2:00 hour just for this conversation.
Oh, Mark, thank you so much. I mean, you literally are a legend. And, without people like yourself and Bill, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to share my story. And thank you. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. I'm glad you were able to share. You're here to share that story. And
Me
again,
too.
just keep living life out loud because, man, I love to see that. I love to see that.
I will, Mark. And you take care of yourself. And next time I'm in Louisville, I'll hit you up and just say, wave at you from whatever venue you're making your appearance at. And thank you again so much.
No, my pleasure. Thank you, love.